Well, ladies and gentlemen, I have experienced my first death in Dungeons and Dragons encounters. Welcome to week 2 of the Dungeons and Dragons encounter log. Just got back. It's a little bit later than normal because the session went longer, largely because we had more players this time. We had like about 3 new people to the group show up, so we ended up having like 7 fighters. So, of course, the encounter was adjusted appropriately. Um, First off, I would like to say that I was not the first person to die. That honor sadly went to a first timer who had brought in a level 1 warlock. Yeah, he was the first guy, and he died actually fairly early on. The rest of us survived toward the end. Um, it's not all grim and macabre tonight, though, because I did actually do something kind of interesting and kind of fun, and it actually kind of sets up into the in my character's eventual death. Um, at one point, uh, well, first I should set the scene there. We were facing off this against this wizard assassin, magical assassin type guy. And he was down in these kind of catacombs that had altars to the Drow goddess Lol, and also a bunch of spider webs, where living spiders would feast on people who stayed the in the webbing for too long. Well, at one point, because of one of the main guy's attacks, I found my character being pushed into the webbing. Obviously, when my turn came around, I was quite panicked and wanting to desperately get out. Unfortunately, most of my other avenues were blocked off because I was very deep into the spider web. But there was a gargoyle statue right next to me. And as it so happens, my character athletics check got a bonus of 10. So, pretty much whatever he rolled on the d20, he was going to make an athletic check. So, so I rolled my die, and it came up real good. I think it came up like 18. So, on the strength of that roll, 18 on the die, by the way. So on the strength of that roll, I got to climb up and perch on top of the statue. Now, if I had managed to get off an attack, one of my melee attacks, like do kind of a diving attack from off top of that gargoyle pit, I would have gotten an attack bonus. Unfortunately, that never happened because 2 rounds later, one of the enemy mages floated up to even level with me, knocked me out, knocked my character unconscious, and sent me back into the pit of spiders, where I lay for about the next 3 turns before someone very kindly pulled me out of the spider, and I I had failed one death save. Uh, what that means is basically you roll the die to see if you don't die. If you make a 10 or better, you don't die. If you miss that 3 times, your character's gone. Remember this. But yeah, while I was in spiders, I I, 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 I rolled several death saves. I only missed one. and I got pulled out. And then the very next death save that I rolled, after I got out of the spiders, when I was no longer taking any kind of damage, nat 20. Which, if you get a nat 20, that means you're almost in, on your next turn, you're back in the fight. Because it resets you to 0, plus lets you use a healing surge, which in my case gave me 10 hit points. So I had 10 more hit points to play with. And so, my next turn, I get back in the fight. I get my hit in. And then, this was when the big guy was, the main dude was the only one left. So pretty much everyone was piling onto him, trying to, get him. And then he managed to get me down to, he hit me for 1 HP. And then he delivered an additional ongoing poison damage. So, my next turn, I'm not in the spiders, but I am down again. So, I roll my death save. Miss. Everyone else manages to take their turn. By the way, I'm still got ongoing poison damage, so I'm still taking damage every turn. So I have to save that as well. Everyone else takes their turn, and the guy dies, and I think, oh, yay, I've survived, and I even said out loud, I am the ultimate survivor! Oh, was I ever tempting fate there? Because, even though the guy's dead, it doesn't automatically mean that everyone's still alive. You still have to make one last go with the save. Keep in mind, I had missed 2 saves before. If I miss one more death save, my character is dead. I think I spoiled what the outcome is earlier. When it gets to my turn, I have to roll 2 d20. So I roll the first one for my poison save. Makes that save easily. Second roll, a 2. My character has died on the very last play of the game. The very last possible play of the game. If I had made that death save, I would have lived. But no. The very last possible action I could take, and my character ends up dying. I'm not mad about it, obviously. It's more of a funny thing because, for the entire time that I've been doing the encounters, I've managed to hang on by the thinnest of threads, only to die at the very last possible second. I mean, and it doesn't really matter that my character survived or not, since this was the final battle of this encounter, and we're going to be resetting to 0, starting with the next one anyway, and starting a whole new campaign. But and I did have some pretty good moments there, besides managing to get up on to the pillar. For instance, a lot of the enemies had attacks that, as a side effect, dealt ongoing necrotic damage. So, like death magic, undead type damage, plague type stuff. And of course, my character had gotten the Evan armor, last week, which gave me 5 resistance to necrotic damage, which meant that every time I got that effect, I was dealing nothing. And in fact, I even used that to my benefit on a intimidate check by basically having my character look at it and go, and looking at the character who caused it and said, like, seriously, bro? That's all you got? It's doing nothing to me. And I rolled my intimidate check, and it scared the piss out of me. Like the very next turn, after I did this, he ran away. So it wasn't all doom and gloom this time. It just ended that way. There is one other thing. And this didn't cost me as much money as you might think. Part of the reason I did this was because, you know, my Power Strike dealing 2d10, but I also just kind of wanted to have the extra dice around. Sorry for the noise. I just kind of wanted to have the extra dice around, you know, just in case. I did get me 3 new die. I got me another D10, another D6, and another D20, and I kind of switched around on these back and forth. The reason why I did this, where did D6 go? Oh, right, that's where it went. The reason I did that was A, they look cool, and B, like I said some of my stuff could take 2d10 with the Power Strike. So I decided to do that as well. So, you know, if I got something that takes, like, you know, like 2d6 damage, you know, I'll have the extra damage to do that. Or 2d10, I'll have the extra dice to do that. And I can also roll multiple saves, you know, just by taking both of my d20s and throwing them, you know, rolling 2 saves at once, really. You probably didn't see very well, but these new dice that I got are actually black with blue numbers and blue and red speckles. And I affectionately refer to them as my shiny Umbreon dice, because the colorations remind me of a shiny Umbreon. You know, red eyes, black skin, ow, black fur coat, blue stripes, red eyes. So I've done that. And my other dice, my blue and black speckled dice with the white numbers, I've affectionately started to refer to as my Lucario dice. Both of them after, you know, 2 of my favorite Pokemon. So naming them so affectionately didn't really give them any extra luck. Nothing can. But it's sentimental reasons, you know. Like I said, having more than one of the D10s and the D6 and the D20s makes rolling multiple dice a little bit easier instead of having to roll it one several times over and add it up, you know. So, yeah. And I think it was just like $1 a piece for each one of the die, so it's only $3, you know. Next week in D&D Encounters, I might not do one of these. Part of the reason is because I may not have regular internet access. Another reason is that it's just character creation. So there's really not going to be a lot of interesting stories to tell about creating a character, you know, unless I come up with some kind of creative build. But like I said, I don't even know what kind of character I'll really be able to play, because we're not going to be playing the same characters that we were last time. We're going to be mixing it up because it's a whole new series. For one thing, it's not based on Drow. It's based on, well, I don't know what it's going to be based on, but it's going to be a good campaign as opposed to an evil Drow campaign. And it's also going to be very interesting because from what the DM told us today, there are going to possibly be some elements similar to playtesting D&D Next, which I guess is the running preliminary term for Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition. They're going to put some elements of that into it. Personally, I hope they nerf the enemies a little bit, because even surviving through the very last, this was kind of brutal. As the people who came out with first level characters found out. But you know, it's going to be something completely new, and for me it's going to be kind of interesting because I kind of finally got into D&D right at the transition between editions, and there are some people who've been through transitions between multiple editions. You know, maybe they started out on 2nd edition and they worked in the transition to 3rd edition, or they were in 3rd and they were in the transition to 3.5, or 3.5 and they transitioned into 4 and Essentials. So I've never done that before, and I've never played any other systems before yet. So this will be an interesting thing for me. So if I can keep this going, I will. I will definitely pick this up whenever I'm able. Again, whenever I'm able. The thing is, I just can't pick it up really anytime soon because I don't know if I'm going to be able to get internet access. And last time I tried to shoot a video directly from my tablet, it didn't really work all that well. So, we'll have to see how that goes. So until whenever next time is, this is Jeremy. This has been my D&D Encounters vlog for week 2, and I'll catch you on the flip side.